Some breaking news to share with you. We have an update to a report we brought you earlier this hour. U.S. officials now confirmed to CBS News that U.S.-supplied long-range missiles have been used on Russian targets and on Russian territory. Let's bring in CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata, who broke that information for us. Charlie, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, well, Vlad, we've been chasing it all morning. You and I discussed it just a few moments ago. So there was a report that broke overnight. First, it was Ukrainian media that had reported that ATACMS had been launched against a Russian target. Then the Russians themselves said, well, it looks like ATACMS. It could be a combination of ATACMS, drones, Storm Shadow, which is the British version of the ATACMS. So now we have confirmation for the first time. CBS News can confirm that these long-range ATACMS have been used on Russian targets on Russian soil, and that is a first. So the ATACMS have been used inside Ukraine for a number of months by the Ukrainians on Ukrainian soil against possibly Russian targets. They have sometimes been armed with cluster bombs, which kind of minimizes the range. But at its longest reach, it's about 190 miles. And if the target is, and we haven't confirmed that the target they're referring to is the target, because this is an ongoing operation, is the way it's been described. If that is indeed the target, that's just at the outer reach, about 190 miles. And, we call it long-range weapons. They are ballistic missiles. They're tough to intercept. One of the reasons the Russians are concerned about it. But Russia's a big place, as the Pentagon continues to tell me. 190 miles from the border, they've still pulled a lot of their assets, especially their aircraft, out of the range of the ATACMS long before the green light was given to use them.
And so, Charlie, we talked about this a little earlier, but what could potential Russian retaliation look like?
Well, Vlad, you can say to yourself the Russian retaliation has already begun, right? You've seen this incredible bombardment over the weekend, and it's a very tragic, cynical thing to say, but this is seasonal. I've been there in the winter when the winter begins, and they go after the infrastructure, they go after the electricity, and it can be brutal in Ukraine when they do that. So when President Putin decides to go ahead and escalate, it's not necessarily that he's going to target Western powers, although he's made those threats, or NATO or the United States, he's made those threats. He can unleash fury on the people of Ukraine. However, he has stepped up, and they said it had to do with timing, so he didn't refer to the green light for the ATACMS, but he sort of lowered the bar, the threshold on Russia's nuclear posture, essentially stating that if Russia is attacked by a non-nuclear state, like Ukraine, with the backing of a nuclear state like the United States, without using those words, Russia has the right to defend itself. And he also mentioned if Belarus is attacked, that Russia can fire up its nuclear arsenal. But I spoke to officials here. First of all, it's a threat that they are taking seriously, but they haven't seen anything to indicate a change in posture, a movement of weapons. And there are sort of alarm bells that they keep a close eye on. So yes, it's rhetoric. Whenever President Putin speaks of nuclear arsenals, they take it seriously here, but nothing to suggest it's been any change in Russia's nuclear posture.
All right, Charlie D'Agata with that breaking news for us this morning, live from the Pentagon. We appreciate it, Charlie.
Thanks, Vlad.